we are in Neruda's in Brunswick, and I'm having a meal out with Steph, who's behind the camera, and my friend Gareth here. I want to give you some guidelines around what to do when you're eating out. Let's have a look. Number one, this is not a cheat meal. This is a social meal. If you already entered your dining experience with a premise in your mind that you're going to have a cheat meal, which is, by the way, going to transpire most likely into a cheat evening or a cheat day, a couple hours of food escapism and overindulgence, you're setting yourself up for failure. You are furthering this separation in your mind between eating healthily and eating out with others when they can perfectly coexist if you are more nutritionally mature and sensible about it. Ditch the terminology because honestly, cheat meals are something which should have been left behind long ago in the early 2000s in an era where competitors just needed one meal a week as a form of mental reprieve from days of strict dieting. This is not you and I. Yes, dieting is challenging and it's going to test your food behaviors, your discipline, for a very worthwhile pursuit of getting leaner and a healthier body composition. Understand you chose to do this. And it's actually a luxury to be able to do this in a controlled way where we have food abundance. By framing it as a social meal instead, we are emphasizing sociability. We're connecting with friends, family, colleagues, and we're having a culinary experience as well. The amount of food that you eat is not proportional to your level of enjoyment. You don't have to eat until you're absolutely stuffed and completely dismissive of some good eating guidelines around portion control, hand portions. If you completely neglect those, and you can't complain about not being able to integrate dining out with your body composition goals because you've just made something that is not able to coexist. Reframe your mindset. It's no longer a cheat meal. It's a social meal with guidelines that follow. Number two, do the forward planning. So have a look at various cafes and restaurants' menus and ideally pre-select a menu item that is going to be in line with your goals. So, whole foods, relatively high protein, side of vegetables and so forth, all that good stuff. That is going to be a much better situation than just walking into a cafe or restaurant and just not knowing what to choose from, or even worse, they don't have any suitable options for you and you're already seated. It also saves you the hastiness of just making a decision on the go, right, amongst other people, or just, the waiter or waitress just staring at you down with their eyes, commandeering you to make a decision about a meal, and you don't make the best option. If you are, say, a guest at someone else who is hosting you for a dinner or a lunch, then it can be helpful just to ask what they're making. Or if you're really unsure, then you can just have your protein beforehand. Like I just assume that when I'm eating out and I'm not sure what's going to be provided, that it's going to be low protein or on the lower end and it's going to be higher fats and carbs. So you can have your protein beforehand. Some level of forward planning is going to go a long way in just giving you peace of mind that you've made the best decision for your situation. Number three, prioritize a high protein option. So certain meals are going to contain protein, but not actually be high protein. Let's say you're having a mushroom chicken pasta dish, and there's like little slivers of chicken there. That's not going to be a high protein meal. Ideally, you can choose something like a grilled chicken, steamed fish or grilled fish. There's steak. These are options which have clearly identifiable protein portions versus protein being an afterthought in what is predominantly a fat or carbohydrate meal. This is where the forward planning comes into place, okay? And when it comes to sides, treat them as just tasting. So things like breads, chips, dips that are provided on the side there, those can quickly accumulate calories. Focus on your main, everything else is just a tasting. Get satiated from the experience of the main as well, which most times that is the highlight of the occasion anyway. High protein main, ideally leaner, ideally more whole foods. To add to that, be aware of marketing and just meal names as well. For example, if something says it's high protein or it's nourishing or it is natural, those might be higher quality foods options, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be calorically friendly. An easy option is like a acai bowl, right? Which is generally seen as a healthy option, but it could be like 800 calories with low protein, all fats and carbs. So just be aware around meals that are protein containing, but not actually high protein. Number four, minimize liquid calories. Sodas, fruit juices, various mixed drinks which are high in sugars or fats. Ideally, you are reserving those calories for your main. Basically an option that involves chewing because chewing is important for just feeling fuller and creating a satiety response. Calories that come in the form of liquids are not going to be satiating nearly as much, if anything. When it comes to beverages, water, tea, have sugar-free drinks as well, like sugar-free sodas if you're someone who normally likes a soda. And no, the artificial sweeteners are not going to give you cancer. Don't worry about those in the amount that you're having it. Those are much better options compared to full sugary drinks or generally beverages that are very high calorie and make it a lot harder to contain the overall calories of your meal. Number 5, practice mindful eating. Now, mindful eating in premise is very simple, but it takes practice to consistently use. That includes slowing down your eating. Now, we know that slow eating is going to be impacting our level of fullness. If we just scoff a meal down, we're inhaling, right? We're chewing our food with only 5 chews, and then while we're chewing, we're putting more food into our mouth. It's a bit of an exaggeration, but most of us do this to some degree, right? For example, how many of you actually pay attention to whether you put your utensils down between mouthfuls or whether you put more food in your mouth when you're already chewing? Like, these are small little tweaks that we can undo to reduce our rates of eating, feel fuller, and be among the last people to finish their meal. If you're the first person to finish your meal, it is most likely that you are eating too quickly and you're not chewing your food as much as you could. One, it's better for digestion if you chew your food more, and also it also helps indirectly control the amount of calories that you're consuming without directly tracking anything. You don't have to count the amount of chews, 20, 30 chews per mouthful, but as a small habit, put your utensils down between bites, emphasize conversation. Catching up with people over food is not just about food consumption, it's about socialization as well, so emphasize that. And when it comes to the food itself, take your time by identifying the flavors, savoring the flavors, and appreciating the food in front of you. If you are eating Asian cuisine, for example, use the chopsticks. That'll slow you down for sure. Ultimately, mindful eating also tells us to eat until we are satiated and satisfied, not until you're stuffed. Number 6, hand portions. So hand portions are a simple guide to balance out the portions of your proteins, your fats, your carbohydrates, your vegetables. 1 palm of protein, a cupped hand of carbohydrates, a thumb of fats, and vegetables will just be a fistful. Yes, this isn't as accurate as pulling out a food scale, but you and I are not going to do that anyway when we're dining out or being hosted at someone else's home. Hand portions are honestly just slept on. A lot of people just think very low of this actual food measurement system because it's not numerical, right? But your hands are proportional to your body for most people, and it's going to correspond with the amount of protein or carbohydrates that you should be having at a given meal. And it's just an easy way to standardize, because if you are just having, a thumb of like protein, you're underdoing it. When you can't weigh your food, you can't track your food, use hand portions, or you can use plate portions as well. Plate portions is just half your plate of vegetables, a quarter of carbohydrate, a quarter of protein, and then technically fats can either be incorporated into those, or you could just be like a slither on the side of that, right? Hand portions, plate portions, use them. I'll drop an exact guide of what they look like so you know how to use it when you're eating out. Number 7, communicate your goals. Tell the people around you, friends, family, colleagues that you are eating out with, that you've started a journey to improve your health, your body composition, your energy, your performance. Most times they will be supportive. They will even maybe add a level of accountability that you didn't know you think you needed. But it can be helpful. Social support is massive for success in your nutrition and your health and your fitness. In the instance that people aren't responsive in a positive way, and instead you are questioned, you are potentially bringing out some insecurity in other people. Sometimes your own changes with your nutrition can create insecurity in other people, and they can pull you into old habits that make them feel more comfortable. Put some healthy boundaries in place. You don't have to justify what you're doing to them. Simply state that you're making better choices for your health and your fitness, and leave it at that. You'll be tempted to explain and justify your choices to them, but if you're speaking to someone who's not even in a phase of their awareness or journey where they even resonate with health and fitness, where they even value eating healthily, it's not going to go through to them. But in any case, communicate that what you are doing with the people around you. Don't be shy and don't expect the worst. Either people will support you, they'll be neutral, or they won't be. In any case, you're very clear, and both ways are clear around where it stands in terms of your own decisions around your food and generally how your time is spent with other people. Prioritize your own health, your nutrition, and not just feel succumb to peer pressure or feel like you have to hide this thing like it's a shameful journey that you're on. It's not. It's simply prioritizing you and stand up for yourself when you need to. If it's a situation where you're being hosted and you're a guest and food is being passed your way and they're telling you that to eat more, to enjoy more food, whatever it may be, just politely decline, or you can just say something like, you're a fantastic cook, this is delicious, I'll take some home with me, right? It just doesn't show that you are being dismissive or ungrateful for the food that's being provided, because this is a common one, especially among like more ethnic backgrounds where culture is very strong around food. You don't want to seem disrespectful and you don't want to say straight up no to food that's being offered to you. So that is a good way to go around it. Thank you, this is delicious, I'm pacing myself, I want to be able to wait for dessert, I want to be able to get to dessert, I'll take some home with me. These are different things you can say just to get through the night without feeling like you're forced to eat more and more and more and feeling like there's no way out of it. There is. Just be smart conversationally and you got this. Number 8, calorie buffer. So a calorie buffer is simply just a reduction in calories somewhere else in the day or the week to allow you the extra space to potentially account for some underestimation of calories when you're eating out. Especially even if you have menu items that have calories listed, oftentimes there are going to be underestimations of the true calorie content there. Because if someone's serving your food or they're making their food in the kitchen just then and there, it's unlikely they're weighing every single gram of your food. And it's going to amount for some level of discrepancy. And you have to account for that. Calorie buffers, in other words, reducing the carbs and fats in previous or following meals to ensure that if you are in a fat loss phase, you're actually maintaining your deficit. Ideally, you'll position your social meals or meal on your maintenance days. So if you have a 1-day maintenance day a week, let's say it's 6 days, 1800, 1 day, 2400, then position your maintenance meal on your maintenance day. That makes it a lot more easy. If for whatever reason your social meal lands on a deficit day, then just reduce the calories from other meals. Having said that, don't swing the other way and bank, 1,500, 2,000 calories just for a meal by starving yourself earlier in the day or the week, because most likely your appetite will accumulate, and by the time you actually get to that meal, you're going to end up eating more. You're going to rebound in terms of your appetite and your consumption. Use your calorie buffer as an insurance to account for any, underestimated calories, not as permission to overeat. Now, calorie buffers can be used within the day or it can be across the week. So for example, if you have 1,800 calories 6 days, 2,400 calories 1 day, you might go 1,700 calories 6 days and then 3,000 calories 1 day, and the average is still the same, about just under 1,900 calories. The average is what's most important in terms of fat loss. Play around with this depending on what fits your lifestyle and what events you have coming up. This is more of a advanced strategy. So if you're very good with tracking, then you can employ this. As a general rule, if you are doing this without tracking, then what you can easily do is just subtract some fats, choose some leaner cuts of meat, take away some carbohydrate from previous meals, and have more vegetables. That way you just put a bit more room for that dining out occasion, okay? Number 9, use the Emergency Eats Guide. In that guide, I've got a list of various franchises in Australia, the most popular ones, my personal recommendations for what to choose from each individual franchise if you choose to dine there. Whether that's for an emergency and you just need something on the go, or whether you're actually dining there, have a look at that guide. I'll link it below so you know that you're still making a fantastic option when you're eating out. Number 10, if you overeat, don't stress out. Don't get into a reactionary mode where you up your steps to 20,000, you do days of cardio as a way to manage the collateral damage you've caused. Take it as feedback, not as failure. Let me say that again. There is no failure, there is only feedback. Assess the situation in where you fell short. So was it a lack of planning? Was it a lack of mindful eating? Was it you not telling people around you that you're undergoing this health journey, this body composition journey, and you fell to peer pressure because they weren't aware that you were trying to make better choices? These things are going to happen. You're never going to be perfect, but it's more so about how you respond to these situations and how you learn from them. So allow yourself to make mistakes. You don't have to be perfect from day one. In fact, you don't have to be perfect at all. You just need to be someone who learns from their mistakes and makes self-correction. Don't suddenly drop your calories super low for the coming days, because what's going to happen is you're just going to be starved, overworked, under-recovered, and then the next time a weekend comes around, have such a heightened amount of appetite, and you're more likely and more vulnerable to repeat that process again. And this is that cycle of basically yo-yo dieting, which many people fall into because they're taking extreme approaches as a way to compensate for bigger blowouts, and it just feeds itself. Break the cycle, don't stress out, get rid of the guilt. There is no failure, there's only feedback. So now that we've gone through all the 10 steps, let's head back to Neruda's. Put it all into practice, and 100% if you follow what I've recommended here, you'll be able to eat out and have it coexist with your body composition goals, okay? As long as you're adherent. Enjoy.